Welcome to the bold analysis. There's a very unfortunate statement that came from Rigathi Gashagwa. And this was an allegation that the day Raila Odinga met with William Ruto in Mombasa, that Raila was allegedly bribed or something. And when that statement emerged from Rigathi Gashagwa, he was speaking somewhere in Ukambani and was clearly telling Kalonzo that Kalonzo needs to consider breaking ties with Raila Molo Odinga. And I tend to ask on it, I've always asked those asking or those pursuing that route this way. So if Kalonzo is to break ties with Raila, because according to Rigathi, Raila has been paid money, then to that extent, where is Kalonzo's way to presidency on Kenya Kwanza side? You know, I may not see on Azimio, yes, but I may not see on Azimio, probably yes, but then how about the other side? Nation wrote an article, and I want to read this screenshot here, responding to, in what was seen as the response to that move, to that statement by coming from William Ruto's ally, Cecily Mbarire, saying, in a move that is likely to put Mr. Gashagwa on a collision course with William Ruto, leaders led by Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka and United Democratic Alliance leader Cecily Mbarire described Mr. Gashagwa's comments as unfortunate and urged Kenyans to disregard his sentiments. According to Mrs. Mbarire, who co-chaired the dialogue team on behalf of Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah, the Kenya Kwanza team involved in the talks was sent there by President William Ruto and has clear instructions from the head of state on what should be achieved through the talks. And I have said this without clear the iota of doubt. There is something political analysts used to warn William Ruto immediately after their re-election. And what they warned William Ruto, and he failed to do it because Mount Kenya kept him hostage. Political pundits, I remember even this Mutahi Ngunyi, before he even crossed over to the Kenya Kwanza side, he was categorical and was telling William Ruto that Rigathi Gachagwa's lips, or rather what's coming from Rigathi Gachagwa's lips, is more divisive and lethal and venom. It's a very strong venom that will work against his presidency. People have always said this, that there is no problem with Rigathi Gachagwa being a deputy president who loves Mount Kenya. But the love for Mount Kenya should not escalate to a hate for the rest of the country. Because even the love for your Kikuyu kinsman, we have friends coming from that tribe. But the kind of statements and the mouth, I don't want to profile because he's a deputy president, but I want to say that the choice of statements and how seems not to have the sieve, the filter, the speech filter. In fact, I don't know if there is something called speech filter. I hope such will even emerge on the human brain, something called a speech filter, so that you filter what to say. It comes out clearly that there was some objective with that. What Rigathi Gachagwa said in Ukambani, in a burial, was a political statement to serve a political reason. And I do believe that William Ruto has often failed even to listen to what he's saying, because to even tame Rigathi's lips. I remember immediately that statement came, 2 days later, Raila Odinga said that if the talks collapse, we just head back to the protest. I think on the cost of living, the cost of living is not included, we just head up to the protest. Now, that Rigathi Gachagwa has been part of a wider scheme. And I analyzed about Ndindi Nyoro, when Ndindi Nyoro was asking William Ruto that you need to end the first agenda on those talks is how to end those talks, you know. And I said here that Rigathi Gachagwa was speaking, that Ndindi Nyoro was speaking Rigathi Gachagwa's mind. Some few other members of the channel said, Kevin, no, you got it wrong, it's not true, Rigathi is not out of the picture. But yes, he is out of the picture. but there is a well choreographed strategy and script that he's currently implementing to ensure that such doesn't happen. The talks collapse. And the fear of these talks, I've seen it being packaged in different, some very funny statements. Some at one point, Rigathi have said that he fears a handshake between Ruto and Raila, because the moment there was a handshake between Raila and Uhuru, there was the handshake, Uhuru stopped going to church. That was to insinuate that Raila Odinga is a man who has some supernatural influence that influence, and it was very reckless. I think Uhuru's lifestyle never changed. You know, even the first time, Uhuru was not going to church more often, and that was not him. You know, just to be honest. How often did Uhuru go to church? You know, because again, the going to church on this end is just a bit of a political aspect. And so someone even is making a joke and saying, so does Rigathi go to church because Dorcas, who is the wife, is a pastor? So the intention of that is to profile Raila Odinga. But in real sense, Rigathi is scared of Raila Odinga because of these four reasons. And I want to tell you. And this is what is happening. Rigathi Gashagwa understands that if there is going to be a deal that is going to be met, then that deal could be between Raila Odinga and William Ruto. And so what he wants to do is to cut deal with Kalonzo and probably to shell a political, you know, to shell a political constituency from Azimio la Umoja. For example, this is it. If Ruto arrives on a deal that would then serve a united political force between Ruto and the Azimio wing, bringing together the strong Azimio wing is Kalenjin, is Kamba, Luo, and section of Mount Kenya, as we speak now, and then Luya. So what he will actually do is, he will stop any political deal between Ruto and Azimio if he understands that they can also reach a deal with Kalonzo Musyoka. Maybe shell out Kalonzo Musyoka, ask Kalonzo Musyoka to be his deputy, or ask Kalonzo Musyoka to be the presidential candidate so that he becomes a deputy. You know, that's a bit of what is running on Kalonzo Musyoka, on Rigathi Gachagua, and that is why he was making that statement. But then let me tell you, if you've been keen political observer, you realize that the deputy president Rigathi Gachagua has made more meetings with the leaders from Kamba community than any. There was professional leaders with the Kamba professionals. There was another meeting led by Penina Malonza, by some delegation from Kitui, and then he seems to be attending more events in the Kambaland, which he seems to be quoting Kalonzo Musyoka, to shell Kalonzo Musyoka from Raila Odinga's wing. Because that, if Ruto will make a deal with Azimio as it is, then clearly Rigathi is out of the question. And that is one of the political matrix going on there. So, Rigathi understands. The reason why Rigathi is doing this is because he understands that Ruto will likely shift political allegiance and get new political formation in the event of any election. If there will be any available political formation, he will form it to make another narrative. The Ruto Mount Kenya narrative was that of Hustler Fund. It was based on Uhuru Kenyatta venom. And when you realize that you cannot successfully whip and woodwink the young voters in Mount Kenya by insulting Uhuru Kenyatta yet again in another election, he will rush for another political formation. I really hope and wish that if Raila Odinga understands well the Azimio la Umoja, understands well and sees the political journey and the political gentlemanness of Uhuru Kenyatta, they will still not allow Ruto to get reprieve and to get some solace from working with Azimio side. I don't even see that should be allowed in any sense, because that is going to sanitize President William Ruto. So when I watched, when Rigathi makes that statement, one of the reasons why he's so scary is because of that aspect of Ruto shifting allegiance. Number three, I think in the event that there is going to be some ceasefire, that political antagonism is going to sublime between the two political protagonists, you will realize that he will be disarmed of Uhuru Kenyatta venom. One of the weapons and one of the factors that has been weaponized in the Kenyan political space is Uhuru Kenyatta mistreated us. Uhuru Kenyatta this, Uhuru Kenyatta that. Now, in that event, you know, Uhuru Kenyatta's, one of the mistakes that Rigathi Gashagwa told voters in Mount Kenya is Uhuru Kenyatta betrayed William Ruto by supporting Raila. So if in any case that is not going to be there, then he's left with no option to go back to Uhuru Kenyatta. Remember, Uhuru Kenyatta does not add any political value to Rigathi Gashagwa as we speak. Or rather, let me put it this way. Uhuru Kenyatta can shape the politics of Mount Kenya through Rigathi now, but Rigathi cannot add any value to Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta has left power. And he has had friends across the political divide. He can make friends with Ruto. He can make friendship with Raila. He can make friendship with other people, but he cannot make friendship with any other person being seen in the picture. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what you think on Cecily Mbarire's reaction to that. And if they're saying it is the mind of Uhuru Kenyatta, I think what is also happening is that Rigathi wants to reduce the trust deficit of William Ruto. Probably there was no deal making. But if such a statement will come, Raila will ask, okay, so why is this coming from? Why is this statement coming at this critical time? I do believe this is something that you cannot underestimate. And the intention is to scuttle, start saying that, we met and now this person is saying this, person is saying that. But I think he's now being toyed into a political clone. I wish that it puts his out in order. On respect to what Cecily Mbarire reacted to this matter, it was clearly a reckless statement. Thank you.